This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Hey, Carm Capriato here, the Aftermarket Podcast Guy, and welcome to a very special Town Hall Academy broadcast live from the 2021 ATI Super Conference in Amelia Island in Florida. In this episode, my panel discusses some of their biggest mistakes that they've overcome as shop owners. And we all wish we could go back in time and fix mistakes from ever happening again. But unfortunately, there's no crystal ball for life. Instead, it's important to reflect and turn it into a learning curve for ourselves and others. Take this opportunity to listen to this giving and transparent episode to perhaps avoid making some mistakes in your own business. Hey, thanks to our great sponsors, Shopware and Shop Marketing Pros, for providing you this episode. Ring, ring, it's the 2020s calling, and they're telling you it's time for an upgrade. Hey, head on over to the internet and type this in, getshopware.com. That's getshopware.com. Now, these friendly folks, they're excited to meet you and share all that cloud-based shop management has to offer. Hey, have you realized that your marketing looks exactly the same as the shop down the road? Your shop is different and it deserves marketing that is as unique as your shop is. Let Shop Marketing Pros show your community just how different you are. On the web at shopmarketingpros.com. Hey, the key talking points for this episode reside at remarkableresults.biz/A223. Hey, make it your mission today to spread the word about this informative podcast to just one person in your life that would benefit from it. They'll find it on their favorite podcast listening app. Tell them to search for Remarkable Results Radio. I am at the ATI Super Conference at the Omni Resort in Amelia Island. It's my first time being here, my first time traveling after 14 months of being not necessarily cooped up, but just wondering when we were going to come back out. So hats off to ATI for making a big, bad, bold decision to do this. Wow, and there's so many great friends in the audience, podcast alumni, friends that I know in the industry. So it's great to have you all here. Let me introduce my guest, my panel. Leon Anderson is with us. Leon's to my left, Integrity Auto Care, 2 shops, South Beloit and Belvidere, Illinois. Nice to have you here, Leon. Brittany Schindler is to my left, Rod's Japanese Auto Care, Bellingham, Washington. Sure, give it up for him. And Aiden McDonald from McDonald's ATS, Automatic Transmission Specialist, Livingston, Montana. I think I read on the plane coming down that Montana may kind of cancel that whole unemployment thing. You may be able to hire a tech now. Huh?
The chances are better.
Amazing, amazing. Hey, look at, I know what this team is going to talk about, and I've had an opportunity to go to many of the roundtables that are here. And it is amazing the themes that seem to be connected in some of the stuff that you are all going to talk about. I almost think umbrellas or, puts a bow, not necessarily on the entire conference, but where we are so far. We're going to talk about today, or at least I hope we can get to all this trust, strength of a team, SOPs. I just heard a great presentation on that. Job descriptions, margins. Break even doesn't cut it, so why do it? That's why you're here, mostly when you started. And then measuring success of the business if the money, away from the money in the checking account. So, God, I mean, that's a recurring theme. We've done over 1,000 episodes on the show, and I can't quite say that we haven't covered a lot of these topics, but it's always good to bring them up again. Leon, a big mistake you told me was, hey, I can do it. I can do everything.
I want to say my overall encompassing thing that I really screw up is I figure that I'm a prideful man, and a lot of times I let pride get in the way and thinking that I can do everything myself, or maybe, expect more of people than what they're able to give. Instead of training those people on what to give, I just figure it's easier to do it myself. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I feel that I've ever made, is number one, being prideful, but how that affects everything. Like maybe I'm too proud to call customers and ask them for a review, or I'm too proud to call customers and see how it's going, or ask them to come back and see me. Pride gets in the way in many ways.
I think we've all been guilty over our seasoned time in business to feel you could be the better person. You could do the job actually better than the next.
Exactly.
And any of my other panel feel that same?
Oh, absolutely. All the time,
It's happened. Raise your hands if that's happened to you. I can do it better than anybody else, yeah. Wow. It's amazing. Aiden, I just saw a great presentation on selling your business, and one of the big things was to be sure that you've got the SOPs and the processes together.
Oh, boy.
Did you, day one, you had the big book, didn't you?
I started out bucking the system on SOPs because they were all up here. And I was at a 20 group one day, and in my 20 group, I've got some mentors, I would call them. And I was sitting there over dinner one night, and I'm like, why? I don't get why you have all these SOPs. I came back from being gone 3-4 days, and quite a few of my fundamental things in my head that I think should have been taking place didn't take place. And it was from that day on, I literally started writing SOPs every time I got pissed off about something. And I now have a OneDrive full of SOPs. So I've been pissed off a lot, but it sure smoothed out a lot of things.
I bet you everyone here is relating to you there. And Brittany, catastrophic preparedness.
Yes, one big mistake was SOPs too that we didn't have in place for when my dad went into the ER. He was put on life support. Like, I couldn't even talk to him, ask him how do I do this? What do I do? Who do I call? Where do I go? We were totally unprepared, and that was a huge mistake on our part, because ATI always tells us you need to be prepared. You need to have these SOPs written. You should have a will and testament. No matter how young you are or old you are, you should still have that. And we were totally unprepared, and that really kind of opened my eyes and also my dad's eyes that, hey, there's a lot of things that we're missing that we need to put in place to be prepared. Even for me now, I have things in place to make myself dispensable so that the business can keep running itself. And that's really opened our eyes and made us more prepared and made things run smoother, especially while we're gone.
Can you share with us anything that you guys did that helped prepare the company, yourself, for anything else again like that?
Honestly, we looked at what is going to make us dispensable. That was like a huge thing that we said to ourselves. Like, how can the business run without us? What are the things that we need to look at? And some of the things that we focused on are like every time we were asked a question, like me or my dad was asked a question from someone, hey, that needs to be written down. That needs to be an SOP. So every single time someone has a question of how to do something or where do we go or what do we do, it's written down already. So that's how I like to write out a lot of SOPs too.
Smart. I'd love to hear from both Leon and Aiden on this, but we did a show 2-3 weeks ago, the yellow and the red envelope. Please look it up. And it was about Seth Thorson's plans that he has in case he was incapacitated for up to 3 months. His team opens up the yellow envelope or folder, and if he got hit by the proverbial bus, it's the red folder. The red folder is shared at home and at work. So what's the average age of everyone in this room? Think about that. And, as much as this whole business succession planning thing that I know ATI is so big on, that preparedness is important. Leon?
I was the father. I went in for a simple surgery, and I got to find out how well my team operates because I was supposed to be out the next day, go home, and a month later I'm still in the hospital. I go home with a walker, have to relearn to walk. I was basically out for a good 6 months where I couldn't make decisions. I did a Zoom 20 group from the hospital on narcotics. It was quite funny. I'm sure we could probably look it up and everybody would laugh. But I found out that I could buy a second shop because my first team did so well. We had those SOPs in place, and I was really proud of my team. But to come that close, I honestly, I didn't know if I was going to make it in the hospital. And to see that happen, see that unfold, definitely makes you feel good about what you got going on.
The fundamental change that I put in place where I could become a better leader was establishing a second in command. And I'm going to back up here one sec. Don't come to one of these with a whole bunch of notes fresh out of a fifth gear round table, because I could literally throw these notes off the table and expand this list on everything I'm doing wrong. But one of the things that I feel like I did do right was getting a second in command and letting my teams manage and be accountable for their own areas. In the fifth gear talk, one of the things that really rang with me, and if anybody, I'm sure there's multiple in here that have been in that talk, the no wake zone. I cannot go back to my business with 2 yachts in the no wake zone and not create a mess. And it's trusting and empowering the people that you put in place, and then just truly believing from the heart that you're leading them the right way, that they do the decisions you expect of them.
Good stuff, everyone. You know, life's greatest learning moments come from your biggest mistakes, if you let it. And that's what we're here to talk about. Anybody here have any issues and figured out your big mistakes when it comes to margins?
For me, the margin side of it, I'd go to 20 group and, my shop's different. You guys run a different type of business, and I can't do that. And the fundamental basis behind me not hitting the margins I should is not having the faith in how we run our business. What are the benefits to buying the parts from us? What are the benefits to using my shop for labor? Just believing that you are worth what you're asking for. And as soon as I started believing in that, those margins are getting easier. Not as easy as I make that sound, but they're going to hold me accountable to that in the next 20 group, but we're getting there.
Speaking of accountability, Brittany?
Yeah, accountability is huge too, especially with margins too. It was difficult for us at first to use the ATI margins even on parts. I was like, holy cow, we're like charging a lot on this stuff. But when we started thinking of ourselves.
Wait a minute, you just weren't a believer.
Yeah, it was sometimes it was hard to believe, but then I was like, okay, what are the things that we can do to really believe in what we're doing? Let's have a team discussion on what we're doing, how is it important, and getting the customer's feedback. Like, I heard the customer's feedback as a service advisor, so I knew things that we were doing was working, and it was worth it. And people were like, wow, you have loaner cars, you give rides, you have an awesome warranty, things like that. I like to think of ourselves, and I think we all should too, as a name brand shop. That's how I started to talk to my team. I was like, guys, we are, the name brand. We are the people to come to. We are the best. We do everything the right way. We do things the best that we can. And luckily, we have ATI to help us do those things and learning what areas we can get better at too.
So margins, Leon, did you fight it in the beginning when someone was whispering in your ear, you got to do this?
So the funniest thing is I told Kim Hickey, you don't understand. There's my local high school, 65% are on free and reduced lunch. There's no way I can pull this much money out of this community. She beat me up a little bit, and we changed it and started advertising properly, and now we get our margins. And it's funny, I still found myself, like, why is my parts margin so low? Why is my parts margin so low? And I would let people tell me, oh, we're just doing big engines and transmissions, and we're doing a lot of these oil changes. And come to find out, it's just, you got to make the adjustments and make it happen, and make your people do it. That's it.
You've probably all heard the stories about the buddies sitting down at a table. They both have their laptops, they're hooked to Wi-Fi, and they have the same software, and the one guy steals his computer and raises his prices and his labor rates and doesn't tell them. And he goes back to work, and he finds out, and he goes crazy. And his friend said, when you go back to work and find out anything interesting happened, don't do anything until you call me. Anybody ever hear stories like that? Because I have. And it just it goes to show how, people in 20 groups, friends that have actually stepped over the line of margin and labor rate management, help their friends. Amazing how that works. One big mistake that I had in my lifetime was not necessarily being a good enough listener, and it took me way late in life to, read enough books and go to seminars about being, an active listener. And, I wish I could give that back, especially, family, children, and all that stuff. But we procrastinate on things that we know we should do. Was that a big mistake for you?
Procrastination, yeah, it used to be a big problem, and doing things that I was told to do. Even with ATI, when I first started, Kim was also my coach, and I was like, who is this person? I don't know her. She's in a different state. I have no clue who she is, and here she is trying to tell me what to do, along with my dad, who's my boss. There was a lot of pushback from me at first, and then once I started doing things, and I was on a performance-based scale too, I was like, wow, this is what I get rewarded for doing the things that I should be doing from these actual professionals that I learned that they were. Once I learned to not procrastinate, man, it would like open my world, and I love getting things done. A lot of things I like write down on a sticky notes on my desk. I hate messes. I'm kind of a neat freak. So I'll write it down on sticky notes and I'll crinkle it up and throw it away just to get it done with. Like, I have to get it done. And it's also just so rewarding to get those things done and to not procrastinate, and also to teach my team to not procrastinate either.
Hey, Carm here, and coming up, find out why coaches and 20 groups can make a difference in both your professional and personal life. When it comes to servicing vehicles, you're crushing it. Your techs are skilled, their work is top-notch, but something is missing. Shopware, an industry-leading shop management system, could be your secret weapon. Not only does the SMS eliminate busy work for your skilled technicians, but it improves your customer service experience as well. Can you already see those 5-star reviews? If you schedule a call with a Shopware rep, they can show you the endless examples of 5-star reviews their SMS is driving for hundreds of auto shops around the country. How do they do it? Well, for starters, they have an easy-to-use interface that allows estimates to be reviewed and approved on any device. Can you say cha-ching? We all know that the best customers are the ones that keep coming back. Book a demo with my friends at getshopware.com to see how their software can drive repeat business for your shop. Have you heard this before? If you need something, we're just a phone call away. But then when you need something and you make that phone call, nothing. Well, if you needed something from your marketing company right now, today, could you get their help? Or now that they've got your money, has the personalized attention just faded away? Well, we've all experienced something like this. If you want that to go away, I want to introduce you to my friends over at Shop Marketing Pros. Shop Marketing Pros is a boutique marketing company. Now, what that means is they're small. It also means that they know their clients because they communicate with them regularly. If you're tired of working with a big transactional agency who treats you just like another auto repair shop, well, it's time to talk to the folks over at Shop Marketing Pros. They are a real phone call away. Find them on the web at shopmarketingpros.com.
We should get all the ATI coaches here up on the piano. We should get one sitting next to each of you, your coach, and ask them if procrastination is the top of their list in the challenges that they have with their client. Would you think that it'd be up there right at number? Raise your hands, coaches, if procrastination or not listening to you, because I keep hearing that over and over again. Remember your coach told you that 3 years ago? And so is it procrastination or is it not believing?
For me, it's a little of both. With the ATI fundamentals, for years, I picked and chose what they recommended I do based on how easy it was.
There's an awful lot of people that agree with you and believe in you and said, Aiden sounds like me. You were the one, Aiden, who said that you ran a break-even business for 15 years. Were you trying for 16?
My family's been in this business since the 60s, and
it was a hobby.
Yeah, evidently. We want to work until we're 70 and then move right into the nursing home. And
and liquidate.
Exactly. Something rang with me one day, and my mom's always taught me that, and I do a lot of things in my life based on this one saying, and I know you guys have all heard it. the definition of insanity. You do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It was that little meeting we went to in Fairmont Hot Springs, just outside of Butte, Montana. I had no idea what ATI was about. But after I walked out of that, I knew this was the direction I needed to go to break that cycle that has been pounded into my head since I was born.
Well, there takes a person with a strong backbone to admit all that, and you're over the hump now,
We're
right?
over the hump. We're over the hump.
Nice double-digit net operating profit.
Not quite there yet.
All right, okay. Just checking, because you want me to ask that question, right? Because you're all comparing your notes here. That's the beauty of a conference. Is it's not necessarily the face-to-face conference that you're at the round tables. It's all the great dialogue in between. It's all the great dialogue in between. Leon, trusting people sometimes is a huge challenge.
For me, it's huge. I've gotten much better. That's why it's one of those things that I regret in the past, but I've actually gotten a lot better. I trust people. I remember Rosa, my wife, when I first had her come on, giving over books. That was the most terrifying thing for me. That's like pulling your pants down, you know. So it's like once they see your books, they really know. You know, it's like they know everything. It was a cold shower, but it's our second in command, giving him the trust. Our service managers, we give everybody the authority. If a customer has a problem, we want that problem to be fixed wherever it hits first, not to go through a chain of command. We want it to be able to fix that problem on the drive, or be able to fix that problem at the service desk, and finding that trust where you let other people spend your money. I'm not saying, okay, you know, the alignment's off, so we're going to give this customer $10,000, but you give everybody an allowance on what, you know, if you feel like it's going to take this to fix this customer, then we fix it, and it works out really well.
Job descriptions. I've been hearing so much about that. I know how critically important they are in a company. Isn't it you, Aiden, that made some big jumps? It was a mistake that you didn't have.
Oh yeah, I made lots of big jumps, and a lot of my problems were everything was up here. And to me, it made sense, and then get frustrated when an employee gives you that deer in the headlights look. And it was just establishing expectations and letting them run with it. Again, I'm gonna keep going back to that fifth gear talk, and going into every situation, whether you're hiring somebody, dealing with an issue, trying to establish new procedures in the shop, wearing that manager hat or wearing the leader hat, and you're never going to build the employees that I think we all want if you're always wearing that manager hat. I think that what's really important for me nowadays is getting the leader hat on and growing those people.
I think trust is huge. It is something that I know that you want to trust your people. You want them to trust you. Leon, any story about trust?
The biggest thing I keep coming back to is, like, you got to trust your people. And if you don't have that trust, like when I went to the hospital, you know, I didn't have time to trust anymore. There was no Leon's not awake to trust. It was like, okay, now's the time to put on your performance dancing shoes and get out there and dance. And I was really proud of my employees. I think that's where I gained the most trust, is when I come home and found out not only did they do well, but they had record months, you know, and I thought, well, hell, I should stay away in the hospital more often if it wasn't so painful.
It takes something really big to stop and realize you got a heck of a team. Maybe you could have equipped them better, but yet being part of a team, I'm just thinking, Leon's in the hospital. He's down for the count. We can't talk to him at all. Let's rally. And if the culture's right in the business, if the team is solid, no matter how much SOP, if you had a number 2 in charge, somebody will cream to the top.
Exactly.
And yeah.
What's really nice is, like, it's so ingrained in my culture that if we get a new hire and there's a problem with that new hire, I don't even have to talk to that new hire. It's my employees take care of it for me, you know, and they will call them out on the floor and say, hey, you got to start dancing or you're out of here.
And going back to even accountability with trust too, like we've gone through a couple different crews at the shop, great technicians that I had to let go because of culture. And, at first I was trying to be like buddy-buddy with them. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that, trying to be buddy-buddy with our team members and then having them kind of walk over us a little bit, or hey, I can maybe get away with not doing this that I know I should be doing because the boss is my friend. I've learned a lot with that. And also me being younger than most of the guys that I manage too, and they've been doing this for longer, was also a little bit difficult for me because I was telling them what to do and how to do it. What I learned to do is have a discussion with the whole team, like, hey guys, what's the best way to get this done and how can I help hold you accountable? And I've been an advisor for 10 and a half years now. So with the advisors, what I helped do with them is I was like, again, what's the best way I can get you guys to get this done? Even like callbacks and textbacks, which seem so easy, but for some reason they're so difficult for advisors to do. I asked them, I was like, okay, how about this? What should I do as your manager if you don't do it? And they kind of like perked up a little bit. They're like, oh, well, what should you do? And they actually came up with way worse things than I would have came up with. But I was like, okay, that's fine.
Strap me to a rack.
Yeah. And I asked them, I was like, come on, guys. And then I also showed them the results. I was like, look this is what happens when you do these things that I tell you to do or that you should be doing. And then they also saw the results of what happened when they didn't do it. It suffered in their paychecks even because they're performance-based pay. We were slower when they stopped doing those things, lower pay. And then they started doing those things, they got higher pay. They saw it in the results there too. And I think results are a huge thing, especially with accountability too, to prove to your team that these things are worth doing.
It's a great story about the role reverse, and ask them what would they do if you were trying to get them done. By the way, great presentation the other day. I saw a portion of it.
Yeah, thank
you.
It
was really good. Let's talk a little bit about mistakes in growing your business. Leon, I want to go to you for that. We met, I think you did a podcast with me maybe 3 years ago now, because we've been at it for 6 years, have over 1,000 episodes. And it was one of my most memorable episodes with you. I just want to share that publicly. But talk about growth. Were you prepared?
I was not prepared. Number one, growth, there's several different types of growth. You can have inner growth, and you can have outer growth, and then you can have the growth at the shop where you can't keep up. And in fact, right now we're looking at expanding again because, our parking lot are 4 deep, and it's hard to have a procedure for turning customers away. That's really tough. But that's what you have to do, is you have to find ways to get cars in and get them out and in a timely manner and take away as many of those distractions, as many of those time killers as possible and make everything as fluent as possible so everybody's booking the proper amount of hours, 50, 60 hours. And that was huge for us, is doing the Kaizen way, trying to develop ways where we didn't have quite as many footsteps, getting parts closer to the technicians so that they're ready to go, finding ways to make it so that the technician doesn't have to come up to the front, finding ways that the technician can stay working on that car, maximum amount of minutes every day.
How about your second store? You had all the backup people ready to go to staff that store?
So the second store, I had people ready to go, I thought, and then COVID hit, and I didn't have enough people because there was so much growth that I needed more people than what I had. And then COVID hit, we had people, here and there. It was really weird because the first store never had one issue with COVID. The new store with all these new people, we had, there was people off for months and people off for 2 weeks and people off for a week, and you could never count on what was going to be there. Only thing I could count on is I had to go there. And so we had this huge problem with growth for sure at the new store.
Big mistakes that people have is never going on vacation. Raise your hand in the first 5 years if you took a vacation. Ooh. I don't see many hands. Did you ever have that problem?
Big time.
Tell us about it. What finally, tell us about the first vacation that you had.
This is when I got married.
It took marriage. I see. Okay. Force yourself, right?
Force yourself.
Yeah, because you're so stubborn, you had to be there every day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that whole concept of working on the business or working in the business, yeah, it rings true.
And we're all small business people. This is what we do. We didn't go to school to learn this, that you should actually not live off the checkbook and somehow go on vacation all the time.
There was a quote, I think I heard it from Kim originally. It was, if you say you don't have time for it, it's just not a priority to you. So. Yeah.
See, she's
anything
smart.
That you
Brittany, I think my wife is sitting out in the audience.
Did you vacation this year?
Yes, I have.
Good.
Yeah.
Is this the vacation right here?
If I could find, no, not at all. No, not at all. I think last year, Troy with Graham Auto, he had a goal for me in 2019 at how many weeks he wanted me to take off. And I think I exceeded it by 3 weeks.
Nice.
My first vacation was my honeymoon, and it was I combined it with a 20 group meeting. So that's when you know real love, when she stays with you.
Guilty as charged. Oh my, I know. Do you all have second in commands?
I do. I have a really good second in command, and we keep training them. Like, they give me highlights of the day, but pretty much they just give me the numbers at the end of the day mostly, and that's really all I care about. They handle everything else if there's any issues.
I'm pretty much my dad's second in command. However, I read a book that Coach Kim told me to read too. It's called The 1 Minute Manager Meets Monkey, and I mentioned it in my class too. And it really tells you a lot to how to make yourself dispensable. So even if you are you're only second in command and you don't have anybody below you, you should try really hard to make yourself dispensable so that the business can still run without you there. That book kind of changed my world there too. Put all these things in place, SOPs and how to do things, and helped hold people accountable and helped teach them to be self-accountable too, and helped make me be more dispensable. And I feel like that's super important as a manager to do.
I do. I have a second in command. He's an absolute rock star. It's an ever-evolving job position because it is new to me. It changes by the month. We've had some management changes here in the last 2 months, which affected his role, my role, but we're adapting, and we'll just keep fine-tuning it as we go.
Is the second in command worthy of being coached?
100%.
How you do it?
100%.
Tell me how you do it.
Well, I'm not there.
Oh, you're not doing it?
Not yet.
Oh.
Because it's new.
Oh, you just thought of this?
We just thought of this.
Oh, I see. You had to come to the conference to figure that one out.
I did.
Yay for ATI here. There's this transformation going on. You can probably see it. There you go. Leon, have you gotten coaching for your second in command?
Yes, I coach. We have meetings all the time, but also my ATI coach calls. I have 2 second in commands, basically one for each store, and they coach. The coach calls them, so they get quite a bit of coaching. We do a lot of inner training in the shop. We've been known for training for quite a while. So we not only train our techs, we get a lot of, young techs in and we train them up, but we do the same thing at the service desk. We get people that fit the Wonderlic test really well, and then we try to train them up. So our second in command does that training, and it seems like you always learn more when you do the teaching. So I have my second in commands do the teaching. They teach their service advisors, they teach the technicians. Anytime you can teach, you usually gain at least 90% of the knowledge. And for me to teach, it doesn't make sense because I'm on my way out. These are the young rising stars, and I want my second in command to have all the energy, to have all the knowledge. I'm in trouble if they leave, but hopefully that doesn't happen because I've trained them to take over my position.
Yeah, I am my dad's second in command. I've been working for him for 10 and a half years. I've been being coached for 6 years, I think now. And again, there's a lot of pushback from me at first because I didn't know who she was. And I was, I just kind of trusted what my dad said. And my dad is a super nice guy and he's got a ton of empathy. So he also likes to give a lot of discounts. So that was kind of, yeah.
Get him off the counter.
I did. He hasn't been there a long time, actually. He's not even allowed to.
Is he here?
He is right here.
Put his hand up. Where is he?
Hey, right there.
Cool, great. Good to have you.
Empathy is good, but it's not the best for sales, especially when it's at a 10, so.
And you've obviously recovered. Feeling good? Proud of your daughter? All right. Good stuff. It was just great having you here. We're here to talk about my biggest mistakes. And I've heard over and over again how important 20 groups coaching has been to people's marriages. They've said that it's saved their marriages. Do you?
I 100% believe it. The members in my 20 group, they gave me something to shoot for. I'm a very strong believer in who you surround yourself with. And as soon as I started surrounding myself with the people that I wanted to be like, my life started changing. And I truly believe with ATI and the 20 group, why my wife would stay with me would be a miracle, but I'm coming around. I think she's liking the outcome.
Is she here?
Somewhere.
The wife? Very good. Thank you.
I think learning a lot from coaches and learning a lot from myself of doing the things that I say I'm going to do means a lot to my family and life in general, too. It's like I hate personally when I say that I'm going to do something and I don't. And having that accountability for a coach and then like having reassurance and then feeling good about doing those things when I say I'm going to do them brings it out into every aspect of my life too. And yeah, it's been great.
So Brittany, when the phone call comes in from Kim and you go, oh no, it's Kim.
I used to do that.
And I didn't do that. Oh, you don't do it now anymore?
Not anymore.
Kim, you have a good student here then, obviously.
I used to sometimes ignore it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
I was busy.
Five lashes on the rack. Okay. Leon, save your marriage at all?
Fortunately for me, I have a wonderful wife, and she's a glutton for punishment. So I don't know that it's saved my marriage. I have a great wife. It's definitely made things easier. Rosa started her own business a year and a half ago because of all the stuff that we learned. We go to coaching, and we not only take the coaching for automotive, but we take it for her. She's got a salt therapy business, and I'm really proud of her because she's come to those 20 group meetings. She's come to the conferences, and she takes all that energy in and gives it to her customer base. Yeah. And she's doing wonderful. She's actually growing out of her spot now. They're getting a larger building. Most of you don't know me probably, but we have a salt cave halotherapy inside our shop, and customers love it. They're a little confused at first, but it's kind of like a little hippie boutique. and inside, we have a very clean shop, but inside the shop and inside the customer lounge area. So a lot of times our customers will come in and do like a 45-minute halotherapy session while they're waiting for an oil change or something. It works out really wonderful. We're going to hate to lose it, but I've been really lucky. I got a great wife, and I don't think she would leave me over it, but I can tell you that she was with me before ATI, right at the beginning, and we had financial issues. I had lost a couple children. Terrible thing to go through. I hope nobody ever goes through it, but you learn and you get hardened. And those things that bring you close like that really make a difference. I thank the Lord for my wife because she's there for me.
Yeah. Thank you for being so honest. My most memorable, one of my most, in the top 10 episodes I've done out of 1,000 was with this man a few years ago. Go to my website, type in Leon Anderson, and listen to the in-depth story of what he just told there in 30 seconds. You just said, hate to lose it. What did you mean? The salt thing?
We've grown so much. The South Beloit store has grown last year during COVID, we grew about 10%, but this year we're on pace for 30-some%. Plus the other stores doing really well, but we don't have enough parking, we don't have enough buildings, so we're trying to figure out how we can do everything together, and I believe she's taken a different building, so it's not so much that we're losing it, it's moving.
Hey, this was great. Thank you, ATI, for having me. The technology worked. I'm thrilled about it. My biggest mistakes, episode 223, week 223, Brittany Schindler from Rod's Japanese Auto Care, Bellingham, Washington. Leon Anderson from Integrity Auto Care, Beloit, South Beloit in Belvidere, Illinois, and Aiden McDonald's ATS in Livingston, Montana.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.